It was barely 7 a.m., and I was standing in my front yard, staring at what used to be my pride and joy, a rose garden that had taken me 3 years to perfect. Now it was a disaster. Coffee grounds, banana peels, and soggy pizza boxes were strewn across my delicate pink and red blooms. The sweet fragrance of roses was gone, replaced by a gut-churning stench of rotting trash. Torn black garbage bags lay scattered like they'd been ripped apart by some wild animal, their contents smothering the petals I'd nurtured so carefully. And there, at the curb, stood Lisa Harmon, arms crossed, her smug grin practically glowing under her perfectly styled brunette bob. She looked like she'd just won a war, not like someone who'd spent her morning trashing my yard. A handful of neighbors had gathered, drawn by the chaos. Lisa turned to them, her voice dripping with self-righteous authority. "If you can't drag your bins in by noon, you don't deserve a fancy garden," she declared, as if she'd been crowned queen of Oak Ridge Lane. I stood there, coffee mug still in hand, too stunned to speak. My brain was trying to catch up with my eyes. Then it hit Mimi doorbell camera. Without a word, I pulled out my phone and started recording. Lisa noticed right away. "Oh, now you're playing detective?" she sneered, her laugh sharp and bitter. "Maybe you should have followed the rules instead." Let me back up. I'm a software engineer, and my job keeps me on a brutal schedule out the door before dawn, back home well after dark. I live in Cedar Grove, a tidy little community where the HOA obsesses over property values and standards. For 3 years, I've been a model resident. Lawn mowed, house painted, trash bins tucked away neatly. The only hiccup? Trash pickup is Tuesday at 8 a.m., and I'm rarely home before mid-afternoon to pull my bin back from the curb. It was never a big deal. Most folks left their bins out until evening, some even until the next day. We all had lives. Everyone got it. Everyone except Lisa Harmon. Lisa had been elected HOA president 6 months ago, riding a wave of promises to restore neighborhood pride. She was a realtor, always cruising around in her sleek black SUV with a Harmon Homes decal on the back. When she wasn't selling houses, she was patrolling our streets, tablet in hand, hunting for rule breakers. 3 weeks ago, I got my first taste of her reign. A letter showed up in my mailbox, printed on crisp HOA letterhead with Lisa's signature scrawled at the bottom. It read like a court summons. "Dear resident, your refuse container has been observed at the curb beyond acceptable hours. VY OLADing Section 12.4 of the Community Guidelines. It demanded I stow my bin within 4 hours of pickup to preserve VY Sewell harmony." Visual harmony? I laughed out loud. My bin sitting out a few extra hours was apparently ruining the neighborhood's VYB. I brushed it off, thinking Lisa was just flexing her new power. But the letters kept coming, each one nastier than the last. The second threatened to do law 25 fine for repeated violations. The third included photos time-stamped shots of my bin at the curb, like I was some criminal under surveillance. At the next HOA meeting, I tried to explain my work hours. Lisa barely listened, her eyes glazing over until it was her turn to talk. "Mr. Carter," she said, my name sounding like a curse. "Rules are rules. If you can't handle home ownership, maybe hire help or move somewhere less particular." The room went quiet. A few neighbors shifted in their seats, exchanging looks. I wondered if I was the only one she was targeting. Things got worse fast. Lisa started stalking my house, DRIVYing by every Tuesday afternoon to clock how long my bin stayed out. She left notes on my windshield, lecturing me about CIVYC duty and neighborhood aesthetics. Then came a do law 50 fine for negligent bin VY and willful disregard of standards, complete with a 6-week timeline of my violations and more photos. I was Lee VYD, but tried play nice. I wrote a letter explaining my schedule, even offered to have a neighbor pull my bin in. Lisa's reply? Request denied. Fine appelled. She warned that more penalties were coming. That's when she got creative. Flyers about community pride started appearing on my doorstep. She timed her daily walks to catch me Leah VY-ing or coming home, always inspecting my property like a hawk. I caught her measuring my grass with a ruler and snapping pictures of a tiny oil stain in my driveway. She even called code enforcement about my leaning fence, which had been straight as an arrow for years. The inspector who showed up looked embarrassed, muttering about frivolous complaints becoming a problem around here. I should have known she'd go further, but I never imagined this. Last Tuesday, I left for work before 7 a.m., same as always. It was a brutal DIAS system crash kept me at the office until 6 p.m. When I pulled into my driveway, something fell off. My trash bin was back by the garage, which was weird since I'd left it at the curb. Then I saw my roses. 3 years ago, I'd planted that garden along my front yard, picking varieties that bloomed in waves from spring to fall. Neighbors loved it, always stopping to compliment the colors. Now, it was a nightmare. Coffee grounds had turned the soil to sludge. Shattered glass from a sauce jar glinted among the thorns. A half-eaten burger was slung over my favorite climbing rose like some sick joke. The smell food waste mixed with what might have been cat litter made my eyes water. My bushes were buried, their stems snapped under the weight. This wasn't random. Someone had gone out of their way to destroy my garden, carefully spreading trash to maximize the damage. My hands shook as I opened my doorbell camera app. I'd installed it for package deliveries, but it recorded everything, SAVYing footage for 30 days. At 2:47 p.m., Lisa's SUV pulled up. She sat in the driver's seat, scanning the street to make sure no one was watching. Then she got out, marched to my bin, and started pulling out bags not just mine, but others she'd brought. For 20 minutes, she worked with chilling precision, tearing bags open and dumping their contents across my garden. She even stepped on a rose bush to reach a spot she'd missed. When she was done, she stood back, admiring her work, then drove off. I watched the footage 3 times, my heart pounding. This was Lisa Harmon, HOA president, caught red-handed. The next morning, I was ready when she rolled by on her usual patrol, that smug grin plastered on her face. "Well, Mr. Carter," she said, leaning out her window, "learned your lesson about the rules?" I held up my phone, the VY Deo cued. "I've learned some people will do anything to make a point," I said, hitting play. Her face went white as she watched herself ruin my garden. She lunged for my phone, but I stepped back. "You can't prove that's me," she stammered. "Really?" I shot back. "It's your car, your clothes, your face. And I've got neighbors with their own stories about you." That was a bluff, but it hit hard. She switched tactics, her voice cracking with fake tears. "You don't know the stress I'm under keeping this neighborhood respectable," she whined. "If you're too lazy for the rules, you deserve this." That was it. I stopped the recording I'd been making of her rant. "Thanks," I said. "The police will love this." Her mask dropped. "You wouldn't dare," she hissed. "Do you know who I am?" "Someone who just committed vandalism, trespassing, and harassment," I said coolly. "And now you're going to face the music." That afternoon, I called 911 and filed a complaint. Detective Emily Torres arrived, calm and professional. She watched the VY Deo, took notes, and asked about Lisa's harassment. "This is vandalism and criminal mischief," she said. "The harassment pattern makes it worse. We'll need witness statements, but this is solid." Word spread fast. Neighbors started sharing their own run-ins with Lisa. Mrs. Lynn got fined for a wrong-colored mailbox. The Parkers were cited because their kid's car sat in their driveway too long. Old Mr. Singh was hounded about his lawn despite VYing a gardener. The worst came from Jenny Reed, a single mom. Lisa had been caught on camera creeping in Jenny's backyard at 10 p.m., shining a flashlight through her windows, claiming she was checking lighting violations. Detective Torres dug deep, interviewing 8 residents and collecting hours of footage. Lisa had been targeting anyone she thought wouldn't fight back, using her HOA power to bully them. On Thursday morning, I heard shouting outside. Lisa was in her yard, mid-inspection, when Torres and her partner showed up. "Lisa Harmon," Torres called. Lisa spun around, all confidence. "If this is about those complaints, I was just doing my job," she snapped. "You're under arrest for vandalism, trespassing, and harassment," Torres said. Lisa's face collapsed. She started screaming about community pride. As the cuffs went on, her voice hitting a pitch that could have shattered glass. "You're all going to regret this," she yelled from the police car. "Property values will tank without me." The neighborhood buzzed. That night, the HOA held an emergency meeting, packed with residents who hadn't shown up in years. The board, looking shell-shocked, announced Lisa's removal and scrapped the trash bin rule. The room cheered. Over the next few weeks, I worked to save my garden. Some roses were gone for good, but neighbors pitched in. Mrs. Lynn brought a new, climbing rose. The Parker son helped rebuild the beds. Jenny Reed rallied everyone to plant flowers in the common areas, saying with a grin, Lisa was right about one thing: community pride matters. Lisa's legal troubles piled up. She was charged with multiple counts of vandalism, trespassing, and harassment. Her lawyer pushed a plea deal, knowing the VY Deo EVY Denke was a slam dunk. She got 6 months in jail, 3 years of probation, and had to pay due law $15,000 to her VY Tims. Her real estate license was under VYEW, and clients started dropping her. At sentencing, the judge didn't hold back. Ms. Harmon, you abused your authority to intimidate your neighbors, he said. This was criminal, plain and simple. Lisa stood, barely whispering, I just wanted standards. I didn't mean for this. As she was led away, her stunned expression said it all. She finally realized she wasn't untouchable. Looking back, it's wild how one person's obsession spiraled into this. My garden's coming back, and the neighborhood feels alive again. But it makes you think, what do you do when someone with a little power goes too far? Should I have confronted Lisa sooner or played her game? Was she just a bully, or did she really believe she was SAVYing the neighborhood? And what would you have done with that VY Diagon straight to the cops, or given her a chance to fess up? Drop your thoughts below. Hit that like button if you're glad Lisa got what was coming, and subscribe for more stories where people face the consequences of their actions. Let's keep this conversation going. What's the wildest neighbor drama you've ever seen?